Welcome to Teacher Hacks. Know that there is a survey that you have to complete to be able to get credit for the training. So when I tell you to write things down during the training, you'll need to make sure you're documenting those. So grab pencil and paper if you don't have it so that you can get your step-up hours. So after you're done watching the training, fill out the survey and that's how you get the step-up hours. And the first 30 people to send me back their surveys will receive a full-size candy bar. So there's your external motivator. So first 30 people to return theirs get a full-size candy bar. I will put them in the mailbox at MBJ for your supervisor to pick up and take to you. All right, so this today is about teacher hacks, hoping you can see the screen. So the first one to do, this is an icebreaker that we do that would be a little more fun if we were in person, but type into your phone. I don't always get into power struggles with 3-year-olds, but when I do, and let your predictive text complete. So when you're typing in, your predictive text will come up with 3 words. You pick up the one in the middle, and then you see what your predictive text would say. So try it with all 3, and then write down which one was your favorite. So let me try it with my favorite children's book and see what I get. So my favorite children's book is that you have to read. So mine wasn't that funny, but sometimes they're funny. So let's see what happens. This training would be better if I this one's pretty funny. This training would be better if I did it in the next year. So maybe that's how you're feeling today as well. So use your predictive text, fill in the chunk, send me which one is your favorite. Maybe I'll send out an email with the funniest ones from everybody so we can share. So make sure that you write that down so you can send it out. So what I did was asked teachers that I've had before, either as a coach or as a boss at this agency and other places that I've worked. I used to teach at a college, so I sent it to my old college students in the forum that I have contact with, and asked them to share. So these were people who shared with me some of their hacks. So what makes life easier as a teacher? And so Ms. Jean from over at Head Start, who's a lovely, lovely lady, said that from conscious discipline, she always works on making that connection with each child. So she greets them warmly each day. She treats them with respect each day. And she also has a few go-to activities for when you need to fill 5 minutes. And so Ms. Jean was the queen of on-the-fly math games and of finger plays. So when I taught at the college, and taught literacy, I made my students memorize 100 finger plays, and they were tested on them. So I had their cards, I picked 5, and they had to do them. And at the time, they hated it. But later, all those teachers have told me, man, they don't remember all 100. But those ones, they really keep those ones in their head, and they're great for like when you're waiting in the bathroom and things. So I know if you have me as a coach, you've seen me do those. All right, so classroom environment hacks. So Miss Kristen, who used to be one of my Head Start teachers at my old agency, now works for Dayton City Schools. She takes a hot glue gun and sticks pom-poms on the end of her dry erase. So there's always an eraser built in for your dry erase. So if you're doing lots of dry erase activities with your kids, get a little hot glue gun. We gave one to each classroom as part of the training on composure with Jeffrey when you made aprons, so you all have a hot glue gun that you could do this. Don't use the hot glue gun when you have children in your room. It's not safe. All right, Miss Connie. I went to high school with Miss Connie, and my very first Head Start job was at GMN, and she's still over there fighting the good fight. And so she takes command strips and puts on the ends of clothespins, and then she sticks these to her bulletin board so that she can swap out artwork or things really easily. So she loves these command strips, and we gave you some with the conscious discipline stuff training, so if you want to try some of these. Now, if you don't have clothespins or one of these things in the picture, or in the suggestions, let your CC know. You can probably get a lot of these from Staples, or if that doesn't work, you can give me a call and I'll see what I can do. All right, so Miss Shakira, who's one of my teachers over at Barnett, sent this hack. And so I sometimes will cover an entire table, and it's hard to see here, but it's covered with contact paper, and then the kids can write on the table as much as they want. So you can make a whole table into a dry erase table. I've seen other classrooms use the chalkboard paint, and I've also seen the chalkboard paint done in duct tape recently, and so you can make clipboards that the kids can write on over and over again. All right, Miss Kristen had the same problem that I had in classrooms. She hated putting puzzles back together. So when kids would dump all the puzzles out and then you have to clean up all that mess, it was really time consuming. So she had the kids help her, and I thought this was so smart. She got these yard sale color coding stickers, and they would take a puzzle and they would put red all on one. And so when you were sorting puzzles, you knew if it had a red back, it went to this puzzle because it had a red sticker. So it helps you when you're sorting all those little puzzle pieces out. And if you have more than one puzzle, you can put some numbers on them. So you can make it red number 1. And so you can make sure that all your puzzles are labeled so that they go back to the right one. So it's just a little cheat. You can also write on the back of them with a marker or make a star, like a red star on the back of them. So there are other options there. All right, Ms. Adrian was kind enough to send me several suggestions, and she sent these about tennis balls. And so if you can put them on the bottom of chairs, if they're having a lot of noise, or if you don't want to scratch your surfaces, it gives it a little bit different feel. She loves when you cut a little slice in one, and then you can use a Sharpie to put a face, and you can make a nice little fine motor stress relief activity. And so she called them the counting monsters. Yeah. All right, prevent chairs from tipping. She said the canisters, so here are the canisters that they come in, can be recycled and use these. So if you have somebody or access to somebody who uses a lot of tennis balls, you can ask for those. All right, love this idea. I've never used it, but I'm stealing it. When kids are journaling, and my kids owner at Linden Rec were always journaling, and so you can take a piece of ribbon, tape it into the front so that they can always have like a built-in bookmark so they can easily find their next opening page. So if you're finding you're having a lot of time with wasted time when turning pages, you can do that. And so Deschler also did a lot of journaling when I had that. All right, so do you have 7,000 of these in your back seat left over? If you're taking, especially if you're taking art outside, it's a really nice way to have the holder where you can put a couple little cups in with your water and your dry erase, or not your dry erase, your watercolor, and you can have a nice little carrying tote so that you could make that a student job to carry that. So if you're not doing art outside, you're really missing the boat. I love this idea. I hated washing out the paint cups and the paint brushes at the end of the day, and so this teacher was using some baggies and putting them on the insert, almost like they make those crock pot inserts now, so you don't have to wash your crock pot. They use these inserts for this. I also had a teacher say that they had families save bread wrappers, and they used bread wrappers for this. So the bread wrappers were going to be thrown away anyway, so you could recycle those bread wrappers and to make your cleanup a little faster, easier. So how smart is that? All right, I love this idea. This idea was actually, and I don't know why I didn't put her name on, Nicole McPeck, who was one of my first mentors when I student taught in kindergarten. We won't say how many years ago. She did this idea and I loved it. So you have trouble with students remembering to turn their glue so that's all the way shut, and then the glue dries out. You have to take scissors in and perform surgery on the glue caps. She had the students put smiley faces on. And so when the smileys match up, the glue is shut. So how easy and smart is that? And then her questions of the day, she would put inside a pocket protector. And so then she could reuse it. So this is printed, but you just wipe it off and rewrite it every day. So if you're having a message to parents on your door, you could wipe it every day. We're not going to do this kind of a math fact, but we could do something with tally mark counting or something, and we could absolutely have vocabulary of the day. So if you wanted to make something like this, super easy to do and a time saver. I am going to ask you on the survey to share with me the 3 things that you're going to absolutely take and use. So start making a note. If something's like, I'm going to definitely try this one, write it down so that you can show me which ones you picked. Miss Kristen sent me a ton of ideas. I miss Miss Kristen. She used these hangers that you get like from the dry cleaner that are nice, and sometimes you end up with a lot of them. Or sometimes dry cleaners will donate them to your room if you ask. She used them to hold things in her room, and so she would hang her charts. She would use it for things that she made here, and so they had a nice little hanger. If she couldn't stick things to her walls but could have commando hooks to hang, she would do those. So, and they're not super expensive. If you wanted to buy them, buy them. Okay, a lot of you have closet doors, and you have a ton of stuff. I use this when I go camping, and I have one with all of our cups at home. We have so many of those traveling cups, like the I don't even know what they're called. I have no idea why that word just flew out of my head. But my kids have those expensive ones that they pay way too much money for, and they take up all the room on my cupboard. So we have one of these that they all stick in. So we have, and so shockingly, it's full half the time. But you can use these to store little loose things that you just want to quickly be able to see. It's nice because they're clear. This is a little shoe holder, and you can put them on the back side or the front side of a closet or a door in your room, and so you can put it low so kids can access it, or you can make it tall for you. And I love that this teacher took the extra time to put the words on it too. Miss Elizabeth, who is retired now, she was a teacher way back when I went to college, and she taught me a ton of things. But one that I never forgot was to put Velcro on the top of your dry erase boards, and make sure that you tip them down because they'll stay wet longer. And so if you put your Velcro on, so that one, there'll always be one because you can stick it up and it has a home and they tend not to walk away. But 2, if you tip them down, then the ink stays better. So just a little hint. All right. Miss Peggy was one of my old teachers at my old job, and she had things to do, like if kids came in early, or there's kids whose parent picked up late, or if there was a time where you were done with something and ready to move to something else. She had these individual activities that she put down low enough that children could access, so she would swap them in and out, and the kids could pick an activity that they wanted to work on. She also had ones that were specific to nap time, but she just took some command hooks, got some little dollar store baskets, and they were low enough the kids could swap them in and out. And these she put on top, that was for parents, so that parents would know what they were for. Miss Peggy always had these amazing art displays, and she would have usually 3 in her classroom, so she really worked hard, and she would do them in the hallway going up the steps too, and she would try to make them so that she could easily swap them in and out. So she would have sometimes a background color, she would have push pens that she glued to clothespins. She laughed that she uses like 200 clothespins a year, but then if they're low enough, the kids can swap their artwork in and out if they want. So they can have a board where the kids control what goes in and out. So there's a thought. She would sometimes make frames that were kind of, these remind me of something that Jeffrey would like, with all the different frames that weren't so matchy and put up. So don't forget, you can tell how old this, look how old these computers are. You can try that. I love the aesthetic of this one. They just put one clip in the middle, but they made them nice and straight across, and they have some colors. And look how nice those are. This is another way to do the art display, where you take a clipboard, and so the kids can swap them in and out. So you're not having to constantly stick and unstick things. You can clip and unclip the artwork. So I thought that that was smart. I love this idea where they put the kid's picture above their artwork, so that even if they don't know their name yet, they can identify their artwork. This one had names above it, so if your children are older and can recognize their name, you can try that. some ideas for different kinds of bulletin boards. And so you can tell this room had a lot of environmental print in it, but they just had a chicka chicka boom boom. So you're looking for one for the beginning of the year. There's a thought. I really love this one. They had a picture of the kids underneath of it. So when we're learning to learn when we're starting to learn names, we can flip them up. I've seen people do this in the hallway outside with staff. So it might say Coach Stacy, and you flip it up and maybe there's a bio about me, or maybe there's a picture of me, so the kids will know. Here's another one you can do at the beginning of the year. So you can put mirror, mirror on the wall, look who's in preschool this fall. So change it up, use a little bit of aluminum foil, or you can do self-portraits here, and they've stuck the kids' pictures to them. So creative curriculum and conscious discipline both would really love this idea of we're going to do all about me and self-portraits and self-identification. It would hit a lot of our goals, a lot of our measures in GRDP. Mrs. Williamson, who was my kindergarten teacher, my children's kindergarten teacher, and my first mentor when I taught elementary, had the most amazing bulletin boards. And I wish it was before cell phones, because now I have pictures of all these. She had each children do a square, made it into a quote on the bulletin board, took a picture of their face and put it across the top, and then put the children were nestled all snug in their beds. So it was a cute little one. I love the idea that this classroom used it with pictures from nap time. So they actually took pictures of the children at nap time and put on. So I thought that was a cute idea. I don't have a picture from Deschler's actual one anymore, but they did an amazing bulletin board. It was the one that I saw most parents and kids interested in. They had everybody bring in a baby picture, and then if you flipped, you could look and see who the child was. So they had lots of fun guessing who the children were in the classroom. All right, organizational hacks. All right, this one is from Miss Lynn, who has the EHS home visitors. And so there's a lot of paperwork with getting things started and getting the school year started off smoothly. And so she had some suggestions about that organization at the beginning. And so allow the parent and child to make the child's name tag during pre-admission. So it gives them something hands-on to do that they can take and then use. And then it's a little comfort item because you have that thing when you first start. Make or give a pre-May going to school social story at the pre-admission that the child can keep at home. So if you take the time to write a social story is just like a Piaget script. So if you think back to when you had Piaget theory and you talk about there's a schema or schemata or script, depending on what age you are when you went through, they changed the name of the same concept. You're going to talk about what's the script for getting ready and going to school in the morning. I'm going to get up, I'm going to use the bathroom, I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to eat breakfast, I'm going to grab my backpack. Like, what is the script that you're going to do for getting ready that morning? And then you're going to, sorry, I got a text message and got distracted. You're going to go through that, and it's going to be a comfort item for the child to do at home. So a good idea for getting ready for school. Ask the parent for a photo or take one during pre-admission and put that in a class display. So I love when my rooms, Linden Rec always had these amazing, beautiful parent displays with families up. And so make sure that you ask for a photo, or you can take a picture of their photo, or you can take one yourself. So you have the tablets, most of you, that you could take on pre-admission. If you have someone who's new in your room, you might assign an arrival buddy. And I love this idea. So the teacher picks the friend in the classroom that would be really good at this, and they guide the new child when they're in the room. So when you have a new student, they don't know all the 5,000 routines you've already taught your class. So it's a good job for a student to give them the responsibility. And if you've watched Conscious Discipline trainings at all, there's the video of the young man who the teacher decided to be the greeter, the high school student. And so I think Mr. Baptiste. And so think about what job would be good for the children in your room to make them feel valid, and how can you make the children feel safe and comfortable that are entering your room, not at the beginning of the year. All right. have a dry erase board or some type of communication board available to parents. I had a dry erase board on my door, and sometimes it would just say a very few things, and I often had pictures on the door of stuff we'd done that week. And so way back when, it was super expensive and a pain, but we would, listen, I'm showing my age, but we would take Polaroid pictures and put on the door so that the parents could see we'd made volcanoes that day. So that was way before social media and putting those things up. So think about how you can keep parents informed on a daily of what the kids did. And even if it's just a word or two, that's better. That's, better than nothing. So make sure you're doing that. Ask help for specific volunteer projects. And so one of my old teachers, why is her name escaping me? She was at MBJ and EHS, and she was made Tina. Tina had this amazing tree up in her room with apples, and the apples were asking for help for specific volunteer things from parents. And so parents, when they would come in, they would see a little 5-minute task and think, well, I could do that. And so she would often have parents helping with little in-kind things, or volunteering to come in and share a recipe or share something about their job. And so it was a really good idea. All right, Ms. Rhonda, who used to be at MBJ and now has her own child care center, talks about organization. And so to get her lessons ready, she gets those extra large storage bags. I did this in my room, but I used totes. I had a Monday through Friday tote that I kept my my small group stuff in, so that I could just grab the totes then and put on the table. And sometimes I would have a green tote, a red tote, and a yellow tote, and I would that morning put whatever the small group was going to be. So if I'm leading circle time, my assistant teacher can grab the totes and put on the table, so that we're already all planned out and there's not a lag in that transition to small group. And so things like that, organization like this will help your productivity score in class. So good strategy there. All right, so I bet a ton of you have these kids hangers, or you go to Walmart and they're like, do you want to keep your hanger? If you say yes, then you can hang a lot of your things in your classroom, and it keeps them a little neater. So you have these charts and things you want to keep, and you're trying to figure out how to space those. Try using these kitty hangers, hanging them up in the closet space. All right, lots of us use these kinds of totes. I know that these are things that I used all the time in the room. I thought this was a smart idea. Miss Kristen put a couple little things of magnet tape and just stuck some paper clips on the edge. And so her class was not ready for a stapler, she told me, but she often liked them for fine motor to help to put things together with paper clips. So I thought that was a smart idea. Miss Elizabeth, who was that retired teacher of mine, she did two things. She would get these under the cabinet holders, and so she would often have things like tissues in that and put them upside down so the kids could grab a tissue out easily. And I thought that was super smart. She also was a big fan of these old school peg boards. You can buy these like at the hardware store, in me at least, and you can hang different things on them. So she would have a lot of things hanging in her classroom that way. All right, here are some best practice hacks. And so Miss Jeffrey, of course, when I ask for ideas, always sends something amazing. And hers, a lot of behavior issues happen around that nap time routine, and it can be a little rough. So here's some ideas. Before a nap time, children choose their nap time ritual from a visual board. So you're going to make a little visual board up, and one of the things when you're moving and transitioning is that they get to pick their nap time routine. And so you can put as many or as few as you want on that, and it helps them to know that they have a choice for regard for student perspective. It helps with routine for productivity, and it just helps that it shows that you're sensitive to their needs. And so here are some choices that you can pick from. So I hear Jeffrey's voice when I read these. You can get wrapped up like a burrito. And so instead of just getting covered with your blanket, you can choose to, we'll roll and wrap you like a burrito if you want. You can get a 2-minute back rub, a 2-minute back rub. I can read one book. We can do one big tight hug. You can get a tickle. Children will pick for me the I love you ritual roundabout, that roundabout, wee little mousie, up the tree, little housey, and that'll be theirs. And I think they love it because it has that tickle. And it's that I love you ritual from Conscious Discipline. So you're having that eye contact, that personal touch and connection too. So you're building student-teacher connection there. Or you can do like 100 pats. The numbers are irrelevant. You pick your own numbers, but they get to pick which one they want to choose. And then you're going to keep in mind that some people can wait longer than others, and some people can't wait at all. And so you're going to make that impact, you know, where you go to first. But I would have loved this as a child if somebody had asked what I thought. These were just some quotes that people sent. Our emotions need to be as educated as our intellect. There's a great book about emotional intelligence that you can check out from the library. That's really good. Daniel Pink, no, is that right? Maybe not. It's important to know how to feel, respond, and how to let life in so that it can touch you. When Creative Curriculum surveyed kindergarten teachers and asked what's the #1 thing we want students to be able to do when they come to kindergarten, the answer was regulate. It wasn't tie shoes, it wasn't go to the bathroom, it wasn't know their name, it wasn't say the alphabet, it was be able to regulate their emotions. And so this quote kind of fits with that. In teaching, you can't do the Bloom stuff. So think about Bloom's hierarchy. So you have comprehension, and it moves on up to synthesis and analysis, synthesis, creation, and think about you can't do that stuff on the higher top until you take care of the Maslow stuff. So if you're linking it back to Conscious Discipline with Becky Bailey, when you're in your brainstem, you can't do higher order thinking. So we can't, if kids didn't have breakfast that morning, if kids are scared, if kids are in fight or flight, they're back here in their brainstem, and often we're asking them to do addict stuff. We're asking them to do things where they can regulate and comprehend and use analysis. And if you're not in a higher order thinking state, you just simply can't do it. That's why sometimes when you're in a training, you'll be concentrating really well, and then you're like, oh man, I'm hungry, I didn't eat breakfast, and then you're back down in your brainstem because you need that banana before you can move on. All right. I'm sharing a little chunk about advocacy, and so can you hear my teacher voice now? We are living in a time that's as important, if not more important than ever before, that people use their voice. And so there are tons and tons of ways that you can use your voice. If you want the world to be better, if you want to make change, you've got to use your voice. So here are some ways to do that. You can advocate for your career and for your families. So No Small Matter is a film that you can watch for free. I recommend every single teacher ever watch it. I've shared some little things from it before. I forget which state group of senators watched it, but they watched it and they immediately passed more funding for preschool. It had that big of an impact. And it has like retired generals on it, and it has all kinds of important people talking about this is why we should invest in preschool. And so nosmallmatter.com. Children's Defense Org is another spot that you can look that has lots of really good information. If you're on Twitter, here are 4 that I follow on Twitter: Ready, Set, Soar, Ohio Head Start Organization, Groundwork Ohio, and 4C for Children. If you follow these on Twitter, sometimes I'll share these tweets on my Facebook page or out with my staff. And so they just have some really good, interesting information. And Groundwork Ohio especially keeps me abreast of what's going on politically with education. So I'm like, they might do away with Okra, what? And so then I can read more about it and know what's going on. And I know, what's going on with funding and things. And then often they'll have things where if you want, you can, write your senator and tell them that you're concerned about this. One of the things that Okra is doing is really advocating for teacher salaries and professionalism in the field of education. And so if you want to make more money, which I feel like everybody in education does, it's a spot that you can advocate for yourself. So look on Okra, and there's groups you can join and follow where they're doing a lot of work to try to raise the wages for our entire field. If you want to follow, I have a Facebook group that's about activism, Educators for Activism, has zero to do with the agency, has people from all different times that I've met them, college students I had, old teachers, some current teachers, people who've had me at conferences. this is a safe space where we can talk about issues. So the rule is you can't talk about politicians, but you can talk about issues. And so people will post different things that are near to their heart. I had a lot of stuff up there about school funding because I have really strong opinions about how schools are funded and it not being constitutional or fair. And so if you want to know more about that, you can check. There are opportunities for volunteering. So if you look, everybody on that, I just facilitate it. People share things they're interested in, and you can have conversations. So sometimes there's book recommendations there. Videos are posted there. So it's interesting. The other spot that you can go on Facebook, if you follow Creative Curriculum, they put a ton of really good stuff on there. So another spot to follow. All right, so Miss Melissa over at Starting Points, Big Brother Chad, who I just got off the phone with today, I follow their group and they're doing amazing things. Did you know that there's an urban garden program? Did you know they have a greenhouse over at Lockbourne? Did you know that they're doing all kinds of education so kids can learn how to cook, because some families have lost that art and skill of knowing how to cook and making healthy choices when eating. So if you want to be a part of this, follow that group on Facebook. I send out emails to my staff about it. It's too late when you watch this training, but tonight they're having a teacher ed one, and so you can sign up for a teacher education one, and they will teach you how to teach your students and families about things like gardening. And they address issues like the urban desert, the urban food deserts that are happening in Columbus that are a real problem. I know that you probably know this, but there are neighborhoods in Columbus that do not have a grocery store near them. I have parents taking 3 buses to get groceries, and then how many groceries could you actually carry? So the choices are going to Dollar General, where you have a lot of salty, unhealthy snacks to choose from and not things like fresh produce. So check out all this really amazing good work that Chad Anderson is doing over here at Faces. So super excited about that. Let me move this so that's off the corner there. And so she suggested half self-portraits. And so you take a picture of the child, fold it in half, cut it in half, and then they draw the other side. So what a cool idea. And so kind of like the idea when you use a mirror and do, but I thought this would be fun. I'd like to try this one. And so they put clear protector pages and trace their faces, remove the pictures, inserted the blank page. So how fun would that be? You get to give yourself a pretend mustache. All right, these are from Jen's 2 that she used to do a lot of collage art. And so she has lots of cool ideas for those 2s and 3s. And so some scrap paper, chunks from magazines. You can do a little Picasso look here where you can cut and paste, or you can, I love this felt face here. How much fun is that? And then when we were sharing back and forth, Adrian sent pictures that her son and daughter did this activity, and these are still favored pieces of art in their home. So how cool is that? When you make the fridge or when you make the wall to share. So it makes a real difference. I have a link for Play-Doh mats that are culturally diverse, or you can make your own by just cutting out some face shapes or body shapes, and then kids get to roll the Play-Doh and put on. If you want these to last a little longer, laminate them or put them in one of those protective sleeves like you do. And then here's an example. I wish we took pictures because you guys made beautiful ones at a training a few years ago when we did this. And I wish I had them. Hassan's was really cool and some other ones, but they take material, you give them the silhouette, and they take chunks of material or Play-Doh or just little scrap items, some buttons, and they can decorate and make outfits. So some of you had those old school Barbie templates where you could make fashion plates. You can do it this way. I like going outside, sidewalk chalk, having kids trace one another, and then you can fill in the bodies with chalk. So that's pretty fun too. Oh, this is my friend Miss Becky. She used to work for me, and now she's a trainer for Help Me Grow in Tuscarawas County. But she's like, it's important. to have a sense of humor in the classroom, to take time to laugh every single day. And so we thought this one was pretty cute. She shared it with me where the child had drawn on the wall, and instead of getting mad or upset about it, the dad had just put a little frame over it and labeled it. So how cool is that? Some ideas for Dojo. If you don't follow my resource page, follow it. There's a whole section on Dojo activities, but here are things that you can share with parents. My home visitors can share these with parents. And so what are things that you should notice about your kids this week? So pick two. I'm going to notice the sound of their laugh. I'm going to notice the excitement that they see the world in. I'm going to notice how they show their love, how their hand fits into mine. I missed that one. How they look when they're doing something they love, the treasures they find and bring home. Adrian, I think, just shared a thing about kids bringing rocks home that was pretty funny. Their pride when they show me something new, the unique person they're growing into, the cute way they say certain words. I bet you all have somebody in your family or one of your children or you as a kid had a word that they said a funny way. For some reason, my twin boys, they made hill 2 syllables when they were little. So they'd say that they were going to go up on the heel, and it was like 2 syllables. I have no idea why, because I don't say heel, but they definitely say go up on the heel. They still kind of say it that way. So there you go. My daughter and I do not say it that way, and they do. So it's kind of funny. All right. So my old professor that I had gave me this hack, and I've used it I don't even know how many times for families and for cheap classroom activities. You get plastic plates and you can write and erase with a Sharpie on them, or not a Sharpie, dry erase marker. So plastic plates or any plate with like a little, that coating can be a dry erase. Also, if you have an old school fridge, your fridge front can be used, you can use dry erase and wipe it right off. And some shower interiors, but I don't know, gotta be safe with that. All right, Miss Adrian shared some different literacy ones. So we've got this cool with bubbles where we're feeling the textures we go over it, and how much fun is that? These are bags that I make every single year when I'm in a classroom. I'll give some models on rings with maybe their names or the shapes we're working on or letters we're working on, and you can give them a Q-tip or a paintbrush or a marker even with a cap on it, or their finger. I like using my finger because I like textures, but you can fill these with detergent or paint or cheap glittery hair gel from the dollar store. So make sure some rooms you need to tape the top shut. You know your students, you know if you need to tape them shut or not. But a quick little literacy activity. Don't forget all the different ways you can use Play-Doh. I like just rolling Play-Doh into lines and making letters. But this was a cute one they hadn't seen, where the kids one day cut up chunks of straws for fine motor practice with scissors, because snipping straws off is easier than cutting. And so snipping is a good pre-cutting skill. And snipping chunks of Play-Doh is also a good pre-cutting skill. So before you cut, you have to snip. And so it's good to practice those snips. So then you can use these pieces to string on beads, and then they used it here where they were building the letters this way, and I thought that was super smart. You can get off the Lego site, you can print off the cards that show you how to make Legos using the shapes, and so you can make them this way. I've made them with teddy bear counters and any little manip I had in the room. Rocks outside on the playground. Okay, so this is a good one for small groups. You have to teach your children how to use it. So if they're in a child-directed small group and you're running a group in a different area, it's a way to show that they need help. And so you put a green, a yellow, and a red. And so green on top means I'm good to go. Yellow on top means I'm having a little bit of struggle. Red on top means I don't know what I'm doing and I need your help right now. And so you can give them these. I've also seen children that have trouble with self-regulation will have these different colors on a flip, and they can flip to show the teacher. If they don't have words yet, they can put a red light up to show, hey, I need space, or I need help. I need your help to help regulate right now. or they can put it to yellow with, I'm okay right now, but I could use some help soon. So it's a strategy to use a visual for kids with behavior. I found these really cool different ways. We were doing all these different safe places when we were doing virtual, and my home visitors were doing safe places with families. So what are some cheap, easy ways you can make some portable play spaces or safe places? So this is PVC pipe. When I go into my local Lowe's, I tell them I'm a teacher and they cut it for me for free. You get these little joints. I love having just chunks of this to build with in a classroom. You want to run some sandpaper on edges because the edges are a little sharp when they first come out. These are just some sheets then that you can put some Velcro around, and you can get sheets cheap, Odd Lots, dollar store. Sometimes people give them away. This is how they've made a safe place in it. This is like a full-on safe place in a house. So they've built it with PVC pipe, made their joints, built it together, and then they've just draped a sheet over part of it to give a little bit of privacy. And you can see they've got some safe place stuff on their wall right there. So that's pretty cool. It's like having your own little clubhouse safe place in your house. I had these for my boys because they really loved building and playing, and they were really good for either running marbles through. They're the right size for that, and they're a good size for using funnels and doing water systems. So I would sometimes put these on the porch, and then we would pour water, and they would dump and see which direction it would go. And it's a lot of physics and problem solving, and lots of spatial awareness for math. These are some things that kids have built when you put them outside. So if you have a big bucket of these outside, don't leave them outside because wasps will nest in them. But you can ask how I know. But just make sure you bring them inside and they don't get water in them. We spray painted ours different colors because they wanted to, and that was kind of fun too. Here's a sensory table that has it, and see, instead of funneling water, they've got sand, so they're making this cool little sand system. One of my old partnerships actually made one, so they didn't have enough sensory tables and they wanted one for outside. This is just one of those things from Walmart that slides underneath your bed. They built the frame themselves and they made the runout things. So if you have kids or grandbabies at home and you want to make a cheap sensory table, half the fun is building it. And these kids would take this apart and rebuild it at different times. They did have one funnel and they decided they wanted two, so they figured out how to do it. You can do pendulum painting by using PVC pipe to make the frame. This classroom's doing some cause and effect where they've hooked tennis balls and then they're swinging them to knock down blocks. So if you have kids who really enjoy the knocking down of blocks, which is lots and lots of them, here's some ideas for things that you can do with that. Pool noodles, lots of cool pool noodle ideas. My EHS rooms at MBJ cut slices of them and use them as a beading activity, as a stringing activity, because they're big and their holes are bigger, so they're easier to string. This fine motor is just taking the tongs and then putting them in the holes, so your kids can't use tongs at lunch. Back when we go to family style meals, here's some ways you can practice with tongs. They've cut these in half and they make a good marble run. They also make a good water run. And so here's another where we put funnels, we put them up. So this would be really easy to do on one of your fences outside on your playground, and you could put funnels at the top and you can make different water pathways going. Teachers have used these as quiet blocks. I've seen these used in EHS. My only caution is be careful because those kids, they're really tempting to bite. So there's just something about wanting to put your teeth in those that's really fun. And then they've put letters on these when the kids were stringing, and they made some like big oversized necklaces. If we were face to face, I would have you play this game. Jeffrey and I have played it a few times. It's always a hit. So what you do is take a Frisbee and either draw a spider on top of it, or we hooked the giant bugs on the top of the ones we use. You hook a string to it. Whoever is it drags it behind them with a piece of string or yarn, so you're dragging the spider or dragging the fly. And then the kids are all the swatters. So you get a fly swatter, which is half of a pool noodle, and you run and you're trying to whack the spider. So it's good for outside, good for gross motor, good for getting some of that energy out. So lots of fun there. Then you switch off and other kids drag and other kids get to whack. So it's kind of fun. There's a clip here. I'm not going to take the time to show it because if you want to watch it, I'll send you the link, but just important to remember to be positive. Here are some other hacks. some resources. So if you're a YouTube person and you don't follow Mr. Doug, here's the link to Mr. Doug's YouTube page. He has a YouTube channel, and he puts so much good content on over the course of the pandemic, and I've been sharing some of the stuff with my team. His read alouds are amazing. This is with Miss Rebecca, and they do a yoga routine, and it is great. He teaches in an infant toddler room, or in a toddler room, and so I always am stealing, when I had Dog Bark, I was always stealing Mr. Doug's really good ideas. All right, you can follow me if you click this. I'll send you the live link to, I'll send you the video, and I'll send you the PowerPoint so you can click the links. This is to my Facebook page, my professional Facebook page. And so on it, you will find, like I have shared readings up. There's a chunk for each chunk. Well, I made it when we were still using TSG, but it aligns all with DRDP. So there are different measures. There's a chunk on science, there's a chunk on experiments. So you click it, and there's like 70 some science experiments you can go through and see what all there is to look at and do. Miss Francis also made a professional Facebook page, and the link is here. It's called Momo's Classroom, or you can email her if you want to add. And so she has, I think, almost 100 shared readings on there. So if you want a shared reading to share with your room, or you want to check out a book that you aren't familiar with, it's a good way to do that using Miss Francis's page. All of the coaches love and use this page a ton. I send this thing out twice a month probably to teachers. So if I've ever talked to you about using a solution kit, the solution kit is free on here. It's the 8 cards where you teach children how to solve problems. So you can share, you can trade, you can ask for help. So it gives you 8 different strategies to intentionally teach children to solve problems. There's a ton of social stories on there. There's a book list of good books for social emotional, and then it tells you ideas for using each book. So if you're looking for social emotional in your class, if you're having trouble with behavior in your class, these are good spots to find intentional ways to teach social emotional. So just amazing, really good content. This is a website that I use. It's the Teacher's Toolkit on PNC. I have zero idea why PNC Bank has such good education resources. It's some initiative that they have. But if you go on their website, it walks you through like using open-ended questions, using science inquiry in your classroom, using wait time in the classroom. And so there's studies on there. There's a really good one on bugs. So if you're looking for resources, it's one people don't know about, but check out that PNC link. Lynn said, don't forget about this virtual lab school. Now, the bad part about this is that it doesn't count for Step Up to Quality, but this is amazing content. The Ohio State University and the Department of Agriculture worked together, and they made all this training. And so if there's any of these things that you want training on, you can go there and take free training. So sometimes I'll tell teachers to check out the free resources on learning environments. It's virtual, but they do a nice job of making it interactive. All right, don't forget about eClick. There's tons of stuff on there. You can join and follow groups if you want to know about more specific things. The best practice guides are on there. Really good stuff. All right, this is my favorite just sensory resource. So if you've never taken a training with Lisa Murphy, she's completely amazing. I just stole from her website some of the ideas. The link is there to go to her resources. These are all different kinds of things you can do to do fun sensories. She's truly the ooey gooey lady. And so if you've never mixed glue and shaving cream, try it. Make sure you fill your shaving cream outside the classroom because you're not allowed to have them in the classroom, of course. Cornstarch and water. Mix oobleck. Don't put it down the sink. But oobleck is sort of between a solid and a liquid. It oozes through your fingers. You can write letters in it. I cannot keep my hands out of it anytime it's in a room. I feel like my teacher, Miss Lori, does this one a good bit over at Gahanna, and the kids love, love, love it. Don't forget you can do baby oil of flour, baby oil cornstarch. If you've never made jelly cake, it's kind of fun, where you add shaving cream to Knox Jell-O and you drip colors, and it's really fun and ooey gooey. If we do a hands-on science training, we'll have to make it. Clean mud, I made every single year in my classroom because it smelled good and the kids liked it. You can take, Miss Tori made it At least she did the ivory soup. I remember her doing the ivory soup experiment over at Linden Lutheran. So what you do is buy cheap toilet paper, get it donated, and then you have the kids tear it. So we're doing fine motor. Before you cut with scissors, you tear. So tear, tear, tear. They're tearing this toilet paper into little small pieces. Then you can give them ivory soap. Ivory soap is super, super easy to do. So my kids would I give them some either old-fashioned graters and they can grate, or if you just give them craft sticks, they can kind of whittle it. So when I taught in Appalachia, the boys loved whittling the bars of soap. And so I would have that in sensory. I would have like 2 sensory areas usually open because I always had water open and then something else. And so they would really enjoy doing this whittling. So when you mix the 2 together, it makes, with some water, it makes this really cool, awesome mashed potato, squishy, gushy, and it smells good. And you can put it in your sensory. When you're done with it, just scrape it out and put it in the trash. If you have access to a microwave, if you've never put ivory soap in the microwave, you have to do it one time in your life. And so it triples in size, and the kids are just amazed when they watch it. So it's pretty super cool. Whip it up is like that, where you grate 5 to 10 bars of the soap like you're making clean mud, and then you give them handheld egg beaters. So remember those old-fashioned egg beaters that your grandma had that you could turn? They're good for fine motor, hand-eye coordination, sharing, and the kids can whip those and it makes the foam rise. So there's a nice cause and effect science with it too. Shredded paper and liquid starch is a fun one to mix together. You can kind of mold different shapes and you can let them dry. So pretty cool. Okay, I didn't want to forget to tell you about the control shortcuts, because occasionally I tell teachers about these and they're like, I don't even know what this was. So what are the control shortcuts? I'm left-handed. Using the mouse slows me down. Using the touchpad is a struggle for me. And so I, old school, use the control functions on the keyboard. So I gave you a link to 90 of them. I only use like 8 all the time, but on the lower left-hand corner of your keyboard, you can hit the button that says Control, and if I hit Control and the letter S, it'll save whatever I'm working on. So whether it's a Word document or a PowerPoint or an Excel, Control Save, Control S will save. Control A will highlight an entire passage that I'm working on. So if I want to cut and paste something over, if I type up a note and I'm going to cut and paste it into DRDP, I'm going to hit Control A and that'll highlight everything on my page. So I don't have to click and drag to highlight. Control 2 will automatically, if you're highlighted, Control 2 will make it double spaced. If you hit Control C, it copies what you have highlighted. Control V pastes what you have highlighted. Control P will print your document. And so these are just buttons that I use, every day to speed up what I'm doing and to save time. So if you are looking for some shortcuts on the keyboard, those are just the ones I use all the time. There are a ton of others. You can also right click with your mouse to get some of those shortcuts, but there you go. All right, the hands-on chunk is next. So you should have on the 16th gotten from Jeffrey and I the materials to do this. If you don't have the materials for it, email me and I'll make sure that you get them. Clipboards are a really good way to help you keep organized in the classroom, and they're a great teacher hack. I often had clipboards for different things in my room to help keep me organized, and so you guys are each getting a clipboard. There's some washi tape with different colors, so you can design your clipboard however you want. So you can tape stuff to it with the washi tape, or you can put designs on. There's some stickers too. So so send me a picture of how those turn out. I'm excited to see. Or if you want to make yours on the 16th when you pick up your materials, that's fine too. So I'd love to see some pictures of how these turn out. I hope this was a good use of your time. I'd have rather been in person, but we had some challenging issues, so you're getting to watch from your own space. So hopefully that was a good fit for you guys as well. Don't forget to turn in your survey. First 30 people get a candy bar.